You're watching News at Prime. Let's bring you this story now. ANC Secretary General Fikile Mbalula is allegedly in hot water again after he reportedly arrived on Robben Island with a luxury yacht belonging to businessman Fernando Acafrao. The Sunday Times says he opted for the fleshy yacht instead of the museum ferry. It's called Sikhululekile. It is the ferry which transported other ANC leaders, including the media and guests, as the party celebrated its 113th birthday. ANC NEC member Donald Selamolela is joining us now to reflect on the celebrations yesterday. Mr. Selamolela, good evening to you, and thank you very much for your time. Let's first start with your reflections of how the January 8 statement was delivered yesterday and your sense of how the people of Khayelitsha received the African National Congress.
Olile, good evening, and good evening to the viewers of Newzroom Afrika, of the newsroom. Olile, we had a very electrifying, and I think you have been able to take the visuals to the people of South Africa. You have seen what happened, and the people of South Africa have seen in all the platform what happened. We had a very, very important day, a very, very electrifying day, solidified by the type of reception and welcoming mood and the reception we had in Khayelitsha, here in Cape Town. I can tell you, almost everyone, the people came in their multitude, the people of Khayelitsha came in their multitude to really reconnect with the African National Congress and listen to the message, the statement of the African National Congress delivered by President Matamela Ramaphosa about what are the plans we have in store for the year, where we want to be taking the African National Congress, especially that we're meeting for the first time after we met. We had what we call a strategic setback after the general elections of 2024. So we have sent a message, and I think the message we have been sending out is that the ANC remain firm, we remain resolute, we remain committed to the cause and the struggle of our people. We are relentless, we are determined. And I think yesterday was a living testimony to the type of connection that we continue to have with our people on the ground.
Yeah, and I want to use the very theme you use, which was indeed part of the narrative or the messaging to the people that the ANC is trying to reconnect with the people, not just of Khayelitsha, given that this would have been beamed nationally on various media platforms. So I want to latch on to that, closing the gap between the ANC and the people on the ground. I think there has been an admission by the president of the ANC that the branches of the ANC are weak and they need strengthening if this party is to make headway come the local elections next year. Do you think that that is being done effectively?
Well, you are very, very right. Maybe to also start there by saying the National Executive Committee of the African National Congress, through its president, has communicated that the 2025 is going to be the year of renewal, wherein we must renew the ANC to be that potent instrument in the hand of the people, to liberate them, to defend them, and to ensure that we advance the aspirations articulated by our people in 1955 in Cape Town in the Freedom Charter. We have said that, and I think we have sent that particular message. It is true that we're going to have to do a lot to renew our branches, to strengthen them, as we prepare ourselves, as building this potent instrument for liberation, because at the point at which we are, where we find ourselves, it will be very difficult to advance and protect the revolution that we are advancing if the structures are not in the manner that we have aspired. We were able to first make this determination when we did reflections last year in the National Executive Committee after the strategic setback. We've been able to acknowledge the weak points that are there. That is why we are dedicating and committing 2025 as the year of renewal, where we are upping the gear in our journey and our quest for renewal. We're going to be doing that, working side by side with our branches, with our general membership. We're going, because our understanding is and has always been that the renewal of the African National Congress is equally the renewal of the society. So we are determined, we're not going back in terms of this particular commitment. And we have no doubt whatsoever that as the president has sent a message out articulating exactly what is be expected of our branches, our general membership, and our leadership, in as far as renewal is concerned, is going to be very important.
Yeah.
We have learned totally that at the apex of our statement, renewal is the first priority for this year. And like we said, the theme of this year, we're committing 2025 the year of renewal.
Mr. Selamolela, I'm asking that question, why I asked it to you that way, because I'm building up to what we are reading in the Sunday Times today. When the people, the very people of Khayelitsha, read the headline that says, the Secretary General of the African National Congress, when he went to Robben Island. Now, Robben Island, let's you and I agree that it is perhaps considered a sacred site, because that is where the leaders of the ANC were sent by the apartheid regime in order to break them down, break their spirit, so that the people of this country do not see the vision that they were fighting for. And so when Mr. Mbalula goes to that site in a yacht, a luxury yacht, and he separates himself from the other leaders who went there on a ferry, does that demonstrate a leadership that is cognizant of the ills of the past, an organization that is trying to rebuild its image? How do you think that is going to sit with the people who read this story today?
Look, our people know the truth. Our people understand where we are. And our people understand fully that there are those who are determined at all material times to tarnish the image of the African National Congress and its leaders. First, let me denote this point that Secretary General Mbalula does not arrange his own movement. Whatever Secretary General goes with is determined first by the African National Congress. It would have been the African National Congress that would have arranged whatever means of transport that the Secretary General used. And maybe to come straight to that point and explain what would have happened, is that the Secretary General of the African National Congress was scheduled to address a variety of programs together with the national officials here in Cape Town. And he had more on the program. For instance, he was expected to attend to that Robben Island visit, because the Robben Island visit to us, as you correctly alluded, is a very, very important. It's a very important visit, because in Robben Island, that is where we get strength and reconnection with the determination that our forebearers have made when they were isolated there, cutting them from the hope of freedom and democracy. So it was important for the official to go there. But sideline to that was that there were major programs that were happening. And just to remind the people is that...
before you move on, sir, before you move on, let me just pause you for a moment. So, so the one element that I'd like for you to not miss here is that on the ferry, Sikhululekile, that's the ferry that has permission to go to Robben Island. And if you are going to go to Robben Island with another mode of transport, that has fees, docking fees that are absolutely ridiculous in terms of the amounts of money that are paid in order to take you there, if you're going to use a different mode of transport as opposed to the ferry that takes people there. You're saying to me that all of this would have been arranged for Mr. Mbalula because there was simply too much on his schedule to be crammed up in this ferry along with other leaders of the ANC.
Exactly the point, and let me clarify it. The clarity one is that don't put it on Mr. Mbalula as a person. Mr. Mbalula does not arrange his own movement when he's running the program of the African National Congress. Put it on us as the ANC. Why did we arrange that separate arrangement for Mr. Mbalula? And the reason is Mr. Mbalula on the same day, he was expected to address other various programs. Part of the program that he had to come and join me and other leaders, it is where we're visiting and laying the wreath. He had to address that activity where we're laying the wreath at the grave side of the former provincial secretary of the African National Congress in this province, who's also the former Treasurer General of the African National Congress at the time when Secretary General Mbalula was the president of the Youth League, Comrade Songezom Chongile. But over and above that, he also had to go to address other programs on the same day. So you didn't want him to be on a ferry that will take time. It is true that it's expensive to use that type of a ferry that we have used. But I must clarify it that the respect we have for our people, the commitment we have in terms of ensuring that our program of reconnecting with our people, because what we have seen yesterday was just a culmination of various activities that we have been running here.
So let's not digress, Mr.
Yes.
Let's not digress. So let's keep it to this particular topic.
If I can finish that point.
So how much did the ANC pay then? I get you when you say, let's not put this on Mr. Mbalula as a person. Blame the ANC. How much did the ANC pay for this ferry?
Look, I must be clear there that I may not be at this point to quantify the models that the ANC would have used in terms of rands and cents and how they procured that service for Mr. Mbalula. I don't think, if I was invited here, that come with the figures or come with contractual obligation on how you dealt with that, I would have really looked into those details in the office to those who are arranging and get that particular detail. But what is important too is that let's not play the man. Mr. Mbalula did not run this trip on his own. It is the ANC trip. He is carrying an ANC mandate. He was expected to fulfill the ANC program. And it is clear. And I explained to you the type of programs that he had to run. So put it on us.
Okay. All right. If we're putting it on you, how then do you explain, as the article describes, the reactions of fellow leaders when this happened? Because first of all, the yacht arrives there late, and so everybody else is already on Robben Island. And when they see him emerge from this yacht, the descriptions on the faces of Nomvula Mokonyane, and it was Gwen Ramokgopa who are mentioned in the article. The article says their faces changed. They seemed embarrassed. Would they have known about this arrangement if they were to react in that way?
Look, I may not be good at only honestly speaking in terms of people, how they read faces of people and so forth and so on. But I don't think we can come here only and in front of the nation start to want to discuss whose face looked brighter and happier and whose face looked sad and so forth. But what is important only for us is that we had a program to run. We had to make a different arrangement for Mr. Mbalula to arrive in the island. That's the understanding we have. As to what would have been the reaction only is not a matter we can discuss at this particular point.
Okay. All right. I want to end the conversation then on this point.
Okay.
Is the ANC aware of any relationship that exists possibly between itself and the owner of this yacht? Because the paper does go some distance to describe that this is a person who has enjoyed multiple government tenders. Does the ANC have a relationship with this owner of the yacht?
Only most of the people who provide services in this country, whether it's in the airspace, whether it's in the marine space, whether it's in the road transport, one way or other will have a relationship with the state, because the state is a primary source of business for many business people in the country. So that is understandable. To go direct to your question, most of the people that we obviously get services from, we procure services from, are the people whose capacity has been tested by them doing business with the state. We don't run day-to-day type of business with individuals, but the state is the one that does that business. So we will relate with any other business person with that particular type of understanding code.
Okay, so it's clear then that the separation between party and state, in this instance, there wasn't that worry that we are now blurring the lines. Is that what you are suggesting to us?
Only we use buses of the. We used buses here in Cape Town to ferry people. Some of these buses are doing business subsidized by the state. We use buses every day in Gauteng, contract buses from various companies that are contracted the state. Why is not an issue? It can be an issue because as long as we follow a proper process, as the ANC as an organization has a right to use the service of anyone, and as long as it's following a proper process. We would not have ferried the Secretary General of the ANC to an event using the advantages that this person would have got from the state. That would have been wrong. But I'm saying to you, Tolu, one, Mr. Mbalula used the yacht, as you correctly explained it, on the basis of the program he had and on the basis of the commitment that the ANC had reached those type of particular agreement with the provider.
Okay.
The understanding what business this person does with the state does not, at this particular point, preclude the fact that we had to deal with him for the basis of this particular matter. So it has nothing to do with what business he does in the state. It has everything to do with us having to have the Secretary General ferried and arriving on time on other commitments and other programs that we have.
Donald Selamolela, thank you very much for your time, ANC NEC member.